Welcome to the next episode of The Next Big Thing. My name is Ethan Lee Chalk, and today I'm here with...
Mattaes Phillipou.
How are you doing today?
Yeah, good. Thanks, man. Good. Thanks for having me on.
The draft, only a few short days away. Are the nerves starting to kick in now?
Yeah, definitely. I think they've been present for quite a while. Ever since the combine, really, everything's kind of out of my hands. It's really up to, everyone else now. So, yeah, that's definitely nerve-wracking, definitely.
How was kind of the combine experience? I know, obviously, doing all the skills in front of players and scouts and coaches. How was that experience as a whole?
Yeah, it was awesome. It was really cool. It was something I'd been preparing for, I guess, all year, despite obviously playing and having to, put my best foot forward footy-wise. I always, kept that in the back of my mind that the athletics testing would be done at the end of the year. So, I tried to maintain my athletics, and yeah, by the end of it, it was definitely nerve-wracking. I remember walking into Margaret Court Arena where we were doing the testing and walking in with some of the boys. We were just like, far out. This is intense. All of the recruiters sitting in the stands. But no, it was an awesome experience.
And I know that you guys had to do interviews as well with particular coaches. Was it kind of like the same questions they'd ask you, or were they all kind of different?
Yeah, I think it differed for some clubs. Some were more, I guess, interactive, you could say.
Yeah.
You could tell towards the end of it, I think everyone was like, it was a very reoccurring process for a lot of the clubs, 20 minutes, straight with, however many guys each club had. But I really enjoyed it. Every club was good in their own way.
And being from South Australia, do you have a preference of where you kind of land in the draft? Would you want to stay in home, or you're happy to like go wherever?
No, I'm happy to go wherever. I think, yeah, definitely happy to go wherever. I think, everyone says to me, surely you actually want to stay home. Like we get, you gotta go anywhere. But nah, I reckon go to Melbourne. Just Melbourne as an example would be absolutely unreal. West Coast as well. Places like that where football's huge. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not like it's not like you're going there and there's no one there to support you. And I know I have people in my corner, and it's almost like I get a start to a new life type of thing. So I look at that as a really exciting opportunity.
And if you do go, like you were saying, Victoria or to West Coast or interstate, have you kind of lived out of home before, or would that be kind of like a new experience for you?
Yeah, that would be kind of new, moving away from mum and dad. But growing up, dad and mum were split, so I had to live with, I had to go back and forth, and I reckon at times that was challenging. So, I've had to go through that, which I reckon will prepare me pretty well for going into state and living, without mum or dad. But yeah, I've never lived by myself fully, no.
Yeah. And talking about a bit about your parents as well, your dad playing the SANFL, a few games in the AFL as well. Can you speak about a bit about your early life playing AFL footy?
Yeah, yeah. So growing up, from what I can remember, I was always playing footy, whether it was with a little toy footy in the living room, as a young boy, and remember watching Dad play towards the end of his career for locally, just with the Sharks, and yeah, I've got very fond memories of watching him and kicking the footy with him. So yeah, and then from there it just continued on until under eights, where I started out with the Henley Sharks. In their footy program, and yeah, carried through, and now wound up here.
Have you kind of ever searched up like highlights of him on the YouTube or anything?
Yeah, I did, but it happened quite late, to be honest with you. I didn't expect there to be anything, because YouTube's like the main thing I use nowadays, and
Yeah,
back when he was playing, it wasn't most televised thing on YouTube, so
that's true.
I didn't really look anything up. But no, there is a couple highlights of him. I know he's got his old DVDs or whatever of games that he's played really well, so I've asked him to get some of them on onto CDs and things like that, so I can watch them properly. But yeah, I've
And
definitely watched some of them.
I know when kids are getting to the AFL, they always love the trading cards. Obviously, you probably have one made up of you in the near future. Did your dad ever have any trading cards of himself?
I'm not sure. That's a good question. I know Granddad did. He had one. And I'm not sure if Dad ever did. I'm not sure. I'll have to ask him.
You might have to like search up on eBay after this interview and have a look.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm not sure. It's a good question. That's a new one. But no, I'm honestly not sure.
And then growing up, what was kind of like your first? Who did you kind of support, and what was your kind of like first memory of watching AFL, and who was kind of your hero, or who did you kind of idolize, so to speak?
Yeah, Dad was always probably my that idol that I looked up to. When I was watching, he wasn't playing AFL per se, but yeah, I don't know. I always just looked up to Dad. He was someone I always aspired to be like. But earliest memories of watching footy were probably Hawthorn Sydney, some of those grand finals. They were awesome to watch. I've got very fond memories of me cracking it when Port lost remember we lost to Geelong, I think, in 13. It might have been 14, 13, and I was, cracked it after that. I was running upstairs crying my eyes out. And, I was a Port man. You probably picked that up from that. But, yeah, Port growing up, just kind of gravitated towards them. Not too sure why, but, yeah, always went for Port, yeah.
I think it's still not good for you. I'm a Geelong fan, so I'm kind of happy, but I think it's still the biggest loss in grand final history. Unfortunate for you guys.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
And
remember that.
talking about a bit about the power, who did you kind of in the team growing up? Who did you kind of like look up to in the team?
Yeah, I think Travis Boak was one that I really liked. Robbie Gray, Ollie Wines. I really liked Chad Wingard when he was playing for Port. Westhoff, really liked Westhoff. All of them. I was just a big fan of Port. Watching them. Yeah.
And Gray retired this year, but Boak and Wines are still around. Will that be so surreal going up against them?
Yeah, that'll be awesome. That'll be awesome going against them. Not even just them, but lining up against Port will be pretty cool. Knowing that Dad played a couple of games for him in the Sandford as well. So yeah, it'll be a good experience. Yeah.
Have you kind of looked at any? I know obviously the draft soon. Have you kind of looked at any phantom drafts or media articles about yourself or the draft in general?
Yeah, I follow it quite closely. I've watched. I reckon I've watched all the mock drafts and all the articles on me, and not only me, but some of the other guys as well. So I found it really interesting, an interesting process. But yeah, I like learning, quite a bit about the draft and things like that. So yeah, I've been following it pretty closely.
Because I know a few people are kind of like superstitious in that way, like they don't want to have a look, just just in case.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I'm not too sure. I don't really know where I'm going to, end up. So, it's funny watching everyone's opinions and, looking at everyone's opinions of where I'm going to fall. But I think, the general range is pretty, well known. But, where I'll end up in that is, not too sure. But it's definitely cool watching how everyone else thinks it'll play out. It's good.
And you're speaking about kicking the footy when you're young with your dad. And grandfather, and also as a junior, did you ever imagine that you'd be playing professionally one day?
Yeah, definitely. I think around the age 7 or 8, that was like where I wanted to go. I always knew I wanted to be professional in basketball or footy, and it's funny. I always had a pretty confident feeling that I would one day make it, but then at the same time, there's always that thought in the back of your head that you might not at times. So, it's still a very special, feeling to make it, and I'm very grateful that I am where I am at the moment. So yeah, it's good.
Did you ever gravitate towards basketball at any point, trying to go down professionally down that route instead of footy?
Yeah, definitely. Before this year, really, I was probably more basketball than footy, to be honest with you. Basketball was probably a lot more time consuming, and that was probably why it was my favourite, I reckon. But yeah, I've loved my basketball. That was always where I saw myself going, to be honest with you. But not convincingly. I was like, football could always be the one, but yeah, I'm not sure. I just always kind of went with it. I always just loved footy and basketball, but basketball, took precedence for quite a while.
Because I know there's a few AFL and basketball players combined. Scott Pendlebury grew up as a basketball player, and Josh Giddey, now for Oklahoma, grew up as an AFL player. It's kind of a lot of people, especially it has probably a lot of things to do with the height as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think not only that, but how they move in traffic. You know, you look at Pendle's, how good he is in traffic. You know, Petrarca's got a basketball background, how good he is in close. So, you know, I think my basketball's helped my football, you know, tremendously. And, you know, I'm going to continue to work on it because I think it'll, you know, have positive benefits on my career. So, yeah.
And you played in the under-18s this year in reserves at Woodville West Torrens, as well as playing for South Australia in the national championships. How did you personally find your season, and how amazing was it to be selected to represent your state in the championships?
Yeah, it was awesome. I thought I had a, you know, a pretty good year coming into it. I was confident that, you know, it was going to be a good year. I didn't put any expectations on myself though, so, you know, I just came in with the thought process of, you know, just try really hard, listen to your coaches, and that worked. That worked for me. So, but yeah, it was definitely a privilege being able to play for SA. You know, I hadn't played for SA, you know, before last year, from back in under 12s really since then. And then, you know, I come out, played one game last year, but, you know, this year was just different in the sense that it was an actual competition, and, you know, you're going against the best of the best in the most important years. So yeah, it was an awesome experience, and I'm very thankful for all the people that, you know, made it possible out with the SA team. So.
How did you kind of get notified? Was it an email or a call? Like, how did you first find out, like, for the under-18s you got selected?
Yeah, I was walking to school and I just got an email on my phone. Yeah, I forwarded it straight to Dad. I was like, "You beauty!" Yeah, I was stoked. Yeah, it was awesome.
Were you walking with some mates as well?
Yeah, I was. I was walking with my best friend at the time. Yeah, so I just kind of checked. And I'm like, "Oh, you know," we were talking about something at the time, and then I was just like, "Oh, sorry to interrupt you," and he was like, "No, all good, man. It's awesome." But yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah.
Were there any celebrations once you got selected with your family or your friends?
No celebrations, but the guys were just like, you know, well done. But, you know, I'm not one that likes to celebrate too much. I think it's good to just, you know, take the good with the bad and move forward, you know. So everyone talks about moving forward when, you know, bad things happen, but I think the same goes for when good things happen. You don't want to get caught on, you know, rating yourself too highly and then forgetting about, you know, the next play and things like that. So, you know, I was definitely proud, but moved on pretty quickly and started focusing on how I was going to, you know, have a good impact on the team. And yeah, that was my mindset on it.
And following your grandfather's and your dad's football playing in the SANFL this year, how different was that kind of transitioning from playing against, like, you know, under-18s to kind of men?
Yeah, it was a good challenge. Going from 18s as a bottom ager to straight out with the seniors at the preseason. It definitely had it resulted in huge improvement, you know, for me personally, and
Yeah.
you know, I saw that in, you know, all the other boys that did it as well. Like Adam Deloya had a great preseason as well. Me and him did it together, and yeah, I always thought that it wasn't too bad of a transition. I found it pretty easy at times. Obviously, the preseason was very, very hard training, but, you know, with the guidance and feedback of my coaches, you know, and you know, I listened to them, and it made it easier to go against, you know, the guys like that. So, you know, I learned quite a bit from them, and I was very grateful for that opportunity. But yeah, playing wise, it was it was a great challenge. Had to rely on a bit more skill, knowing that, you know, my body's probably not as developed as some of these other guys that I was playing against. But, you know, more you learn, the better. So it was good.
Who kind of in the team, whether it be coaches or, you know, players in your position or even out of your position, who kind of really helped you develop in that SANFL team?
Yeah, reserves. I had a lot of mates that helped me, you know, transition. I was playing on the wing, and that was pretty new to me. And, you know, I had a couple of boys, Braden Calvert, Cormac O'Reilly, who were also playing that role at the time, and they were, you know, they were pretty helpful. They didn't have to say too much to me, but we were always just, you know, sometimes we'd laugh about how hard the wing is to play. You know, that was good. That was good to know that, you know, I wasn't the only one struggling with that role at sometimes. So, yeah, and outside of that, all the coaches, like I've said, were excellent. Shane Reardon, my under-18s coach, was still a big part of the senior preseason last year, and, you know, we definitely reflect on you know, the improvement that I made during that time, and yeah, he's been awesome for me on and off the field. So yeah.
And then playing normally, you said you play wing, but playing normally as a big-bodied midfielder who can push forward at times. Do you kind of see yourself playing that role once you hit the AFL system, or do you kind of see yourself in like a different role when you play AFL?
Yeah, I think it depends on the team I go to, understanding different clubs' needs and things like that. I wouldn't be surprised if, I start up on a high half forward role and, maybe pinch hit in the mid to start with, or it might be wing and pinch hitting deep forward, things like that. I'm not sure, but I think at the end of the day, once I sort of settle into the league, I'll probably end up mid forward. Yeah.
You want to go? You want to go play? Wouldn't want to go back and play defense?
No, I'd definitely like to go play back. I reckon that'd be pretty good. I've played quite a bit of back in my juniors, so yeah, I've got quite a lot of positions I can play, which probably be pretty useful going into an AFL team that's very competitive for spots. So yeah, I'd play off half back. Yeah.
Versatility is the main thing because the more positions you can play, the better you are as like being selected for a team as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think it only helps you get games and get more experience under. So yeah, definitely. I think versatility is a great thing to have. Yeah.
And I know you're just coming off an ankle injury as well. How have you managed that leading to the draft? And has that kind of affected you, for next year and the seasons coming too?
Not really. I think when it happened, I was pretty nervous that I'd done serious damage. But once I found out that it was just reoccurring, it was a reoccurring thing. Like I remember I rolled my ankle a couple of years ago, and I re-injured it. So once I found that out, I was all right. Let's take 3-4 weeks, and I'll be back to where I want to be. And that was pretty relieving because I was a bit worried I was going to miss the combine. But yeah, I just listened to the Eagles physio. Lockie, he was excellent. He guided me with my rehab. So yeah, I'll be fine. I've been fine for a lot of weeks now. So yeah, it's just about getting ready for preseason. Yeah.
Just a few more questions. What are you doing outside of football? Are you doing anything outside of footy at the moment, or is it just footy, footy, footy?
No, I do quite a bit more than just footy. We do quite a bit of gym with the Eagles. I do some of my own gym outside of that as well. I maintain some basketball trainings here and there. Then I also do a bit of stuff in the pool more recently. So yeah, I definitely try and do a lot outside of just footy, and I try and make sure it works in with what I'm doing on the footy field. But yeah, that's just some of it.
And you spoke a bit about going to the gym and working in the pool as well. What does your training schedule kind of look like now in the lead up to preseason?
Yeah, so I'm doing preseason right now with the Eagles. So
Oh yeah.
I'm kind of working around that. But with them, I'm doing 5 days a week. So that's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and then you're looking at Tuesdays gym as well with the Eagles. So outside of that, I'll do my own gym on Tuesday, Thursdays. Pool and basketball on Sundays. Yeah.
And I know your career is still unfolding, but what would you say is the highlight of it? Would you say it was representing South Australia in the national championships? And other than that, what else would be the highlight of your career so far?
Yeah, it's a good question. I reckon the first game we won of the year in the 18s with the under 18s boys, that was pretty special. It was on a cup day for some of the boys that passed away in a car accident for West Adelaide. So to have a big game personally myself, but to also get for the team to get the first win on the board was an awesome moment for me, especially. I had a lot of family and friends there watching that game as well too, and yeah, it was also, I was happy for everyone. And a lot of the boys that were in the team were very new. I was one of the only ones that had come across from the team last year, and coming out, losing 7 games straight, and then to win a big game like that on that day was awesome. I was happy for the team as well. But outside of that, winning the best and fairest with Adam Deloya this year in the 18s off 8 games, both of us was pretty awesome as well.
Have you kind of got like a trophy cabinet at home now?
No, I don't have like a cabinet. I think at the old we moved houses like during the year, and Dad had some of the old stuff just on the kitchen bench. But no trophy cabinet. No.
And how far are you kind of like, what are the goals you're looking to achieve? How far ahead are you looking into the future?
Not to be honest with you, not too far. I think my goal right now is to just get ready for preseason and be able to attack preseason when I get drafted and wherever that is. So I think the furthest forward I'm looking is just to hopefully get an opportunity next year and get a game on, get a game in, and I'd be very happy to, if that was the case, to happen. So yeah.
And just final question, what advice would you give to younger boys wanting to play AFL or younger girls wanting to play AFLW when they grow up?
Yeah, I would say, be confident in yourself, but make sure that, while you're confident, you've got things to work on, and make sure you're addressing those areas constantly. Surround yourself with people that are going to tell you that, they're going to boost you with confidence, but also tell you how it is. So if they believe that you're not giving, 100%, then they're telling you that, and then, might not be what you want to hear all the time, but you've just got to bear it if you want to get to where you want to get to. But yeah, want to learn, be a sponge, have a lot of respect for the people around you, and yeah, you go a long way.
Thank you so much for letting me interview you, and I wish you all the best with the upcoming draft and also heading into next season. And I hope once you do get selected, or even down the track, I get to interview again in the near future.
No, for sure. I'd love to. Sounds good.